All right, let's go. Hey, everybody. Welcome to JRC Stock Talk. We have a follow-up interview with an amazing company CEO, Sheldon Inwentash of IDKFF. That's the U.S. penny or OTC markets ticker. Definitely want to make sure you're paying attention to the due diligence on this company. I think the best companies come through challenges, and I think that's what Sheldon's been going through here recently. But we're looking just like the Phoenix to see him rise from the ashes and see things turn around, especially with the innumerous amounts of high end technology companies and cutting edge companies that are going to be working with him and are just on the forefront of what they're doing, whether it's AI, whether it's blockchain. I mean, there's so many options that you really have to dig deep to find out all the different things that he's invested in at the present moment. Sheldon, welcome to the show.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, just to get started, I want people to also get to know who you are as a person. So, I got just a few simple questions so people get to know you, not just the amazing feats you've done in the past or what you're going to do with 3D Capital. So, what's your favorite sport and your favorite sports team?
Well, I guess I'd have to say basketball. And because I'm a day one season holder for the Toronto Raptors, I will have to pick them.
Awesome. All right. Who's your favorite player on the team?
I'd say Scotty Barnes.
Strong name. What's your favorite food?
Pizza.
Really? All
Yeah.
right. Well, what's your favorite toppings you throw on a pizza?
Pepperoni, black olives, hot peppers, mushrooms.
All right. And if you could go anywhere on vacation right now to take some time off, where would you go?
I'd probably head to Bali.
Ah, Bali, beautiful place. All right, well, let's get into it because we're here about the investment side of things, and I know there's a
First time
lot of
I've been
people.
asked those questions.
um, so on the investment strategy side, 3D Capital focuses on opportunistic investments in junior resources and disruptive technologies. How do you balance the risk and reward when selecting these investments? And can you share some examples of some particularly successful or challenging investments over the past year?
Sure. So they're all different business models. What our overriding philosophy is, we'd like to get involved very early. So we're very value centric, and it's sometimes an inverse relationship to how many people think. We like to get in at very low values, and so therefore our downside is limited. But on the other hand, things aren't always as advanced as you'd like them, whether it be the technology, the markets, or the properties. So our really goal is we want to get involved in high octane, high risk, high reward. We don't actually consider it as high risk, but most people would because of the stage of these companies and the valuation. But if we don't see kind of a clear view of a 50x, unlikely that we'll invest in it. And what we do is we get involved in trying to make those companies 50x's, and we have strategies around how to do that.
So, what's an interesting story about a challenge or a success over the past year with one of these investments?
Well, to tell you the truth, they're all challenging because this is not an easy part of the curve that we're in because there's uncertainty. There's uncertainty sometimes around management. There's uncertainty around meeting milestones, and in many cases, these companies slip on meeting milestones, and we fight that battle every month. But we are more interested in them reaching the milestone Sometimes these teams they overpromise and underdeliver. That is problematic. But we have, for example, in the mineral side, an outstanding investment in a company called Premium Nickel, and the results have been amazing, but the market has not increased. And part of that reason, is because they needed a lot of money to execute their business plan. And so every time they raised money, the market didn't give them credit for their results because they knew they're going to have to keep coming back to market. They just completed a $27 million financing. We feel for the first time in 3 years, the company now is properly capitalized to get to the most major milestones ahead of them. And we feel that's just ahead of us. They just did a financing. We participated in that. We've been a continuous supporter of the company. So, things like that, it doesn't mean that the company's fundamentals were eroded. It's just the timelines and the expectations around needing capital, as an example.
Well, I've got a portfolio question for you. Speaking of the nickel investment, have you been building a position in QIMC, Quebec Innovative Materials? And I believe they're about to be interviewed on your YouTube channel. I mean, what attracted you? What attracted you to QIMC?
Yeah, so this is very exciting. I have not really addressed this investment because we just made it in the last 30 days, and the company is getting all its ducks in a row. But I have a background in oil and gas, and so I've built major oil and gas companies, many of them, and I hadn't really entered that space for quite some time. But the area that we do focus on is green energy and green technology. Well, the greenest holy grail technology out there is around hydrogen. And hydrogen could be, the golden goose that really solves many problems, one being obviously the green side of the equation, but also the energy side of the equation. Especially with AI and data centers and so forth, energy needs are now going through the roof.
Yeah.
We had an opportunity that I think was pretty amazing, where this company has actually staked land in northern Quebec, which is Quebec in Canada, the province of Quebec, a very gas prone province. But the province has not wanted natural gas development because they were concerned about fracking. And there's other countries in the world that have had similar opposition. So they banned it. But what we have found in this particular company is they have staked a massive amount of property that they believe is prone to the natural development of hydrogen. And hydrogen today costs a significant amount of money to develop, and it's all through technology and many differences, white hydrogen, gold hydrogen, so forth. But it is now becoming more of a popular understanding that there are natural occurrences of hydrogen in the ground that you can take out and deliver as an energy source. We've looked at a lot of the technical data, and the person that's basically put this whole project together was a senior member of the Quebec government in their hydrogen initiatives. And there are a lot of sniffs, let's just say, that there could be hydrogen beneath, the rocks, natural occurring rocks in these properties. If that's the case, the potential here is astronomical. I'm not saying it's there today, but it's all risk return. We bought shares at 3 cents. So again, the downside is limited. If they have a discovery, we're looking at 100 bagger here. So this sort of fits into our risk return kind of profile and is extremely unique situation. In addition, the company has silica reserves, and silica is in short supply and also a strategic mineral. So there's two kicks at the can here. The market cap's very low, but reading their technical reports, the province of Quebec is extremely optimistic that these lands hold hydrogen. that would be a game changer. So again, it's the first time I've really addressed this, but we wanted to get management interviewed on our YouTube channel because we believe that this is a company to pay attention to. And we have a substantial position in it. I can't hear you.
That and they're trying to put out hydrogen fueled cars. So it could be the next need, just like gasoline or diesel.
Yeah, the potential here is it's really, people consider hydrogen the holy grail of new energy and clean energy. And there's a great substantial amount of capital that governments are giving tax incentives and capital to develop hydrogen technology, and so forth. If we can find it in a natural occurring form in the ground, we bypass companies' need to spend huge amounts of capital to produce hydrogen. So this is something extremely special. And yes, if we find it and we can bring it to surface and deliver it, it's going to be a game changer.
Is this your first investment in hydrogen?
Ostensibly, yes. We've looked at a lot of convergence of technologies, but they require so much capital, and they're in many cases not totally proven out. But this we like because if we can find it, the finding costs are pennies as opposed to millions of dollars to develop it. So this is a route that, on a risk return basis, I have not seen anything like this in a long time.
So does that mean you possibly are looking at some other options in this area?
In terms of other hydrogen investments?
Well, you've dipped your toe in the water.
Yes, yes. I mean, we are looking at other technologies. There's one that we're looking at that could basically use to heat homes without having to build new furnaces. They can all be retrofitted. And we know that the government of Ontario is starting to put out incentives for people to convert because, again, there's no CO2 emissions. So yes, we think this is going to be the game in energy.
Outstanding. I mean, also considering a portfolio question, you previously mentioned about potentially paying a dividend out to shareholders through your TOTAQ 280 million notes. Any updates on TOTAQ and that you would like to give, or have they launched fully yet?
No, they have not launched fully. They've had some delays where they were going to do something in May, and now it looks like it's more like September, October. But they're certainly getting a lot of companies into the beta and POC cycle. So we're expecting that's going to be more in the fourth quarter this year that we believe the launch is going to occur.
Awesome. What are some of the highlights from the portfolio currently that you can share with investors?
Well,
Not all of them. We couldn't be here long enough, but
yeah. I think I'd prefer to sort of take individual questions because
okay.
it's hard to sort of address things.
Are
Whether
there
material, we'll put out a press release, or I will certainly put it out on social media.
Are there any companies within the portfolio that shareholders should be watching out for news from in the near term?
It's probably not appropriate for me to respond to that.
Fair enough. Has the premium nickels placement going? How is premium nickels placement going, and what will the funds be used for?
So it closed on Friday. There were two tranches. The first one was 15 million. The second one was 12.5 million. So they've raised totally $27.5 million. I
Wow.
believe someone used some of it was used to repay some debt. They're going to continue to drill, and I know they're working on their feasibility study.
That's some progress right there. Can you comment on Avocana's new patents or drug delivery technology?
Well, we really like this company, and we feel that they're just continuing to do things like receiving patents that really is bolstering their IP portfolio. And the thing that's very unique about the company is that it's actually developing formulations, proprietary formulations and drugs, which differentiate it from everybody else in the industry. So I think that this is just another reinforcement that they're doing the right thing, they're entering the right markets, and that they're going to have protection from competition.
What is drug delivery?
Drug delivery is the way that drugs enter your bloodstream and enter your body, and you need to do it in a way that creates maximum bioavailability, which means that the drugs get uploaded into your bloodstream, and that actually target the areas that you want them to cure or help or stimulate and so forth. So typically, companies involved in drug delivery platforms develop proprietary platforms or proprietary formulations, I should say, that allow for these drugs to have the best overall effect and on whatever they're targeting. So it's typically every company does their own research in this area, and some are able to do it well, and others not.
Yeah, and that's a real huge differentiating factor because I know that that industry, health and wellness and all the things that surround it, it's a huge moneymaker. And if you have the ability to create a higher percentage of bioavailability and a better delivery system, it can take you boundless over boundless hurdles. So that's pretty awesome about Avicana. I have a question about AI, Infinity AI. Their record revenue growth. I mean, what do you put this success to? What's it contributed to at the present moment?
Well, we believe that they have a really unique technology and offering to manage smart cities. And I'm not sure if your audience is aware of what happened in Canada uh,
Share with us.
2 and 3 weeks ago, but in the city of Calgary basically had some disaster in their water system. And there's no water in that city, and it's going to be weeks and weeks before they can solve it. So people are only allowed to take a shower a week for 3 minutes. It's very, very restricting. If they had Infinity AI's software, that problem would not have occurred. So other municipalities and cities are realizing that for the way for them to become much more efficient with their infrastructure around sewage and water is to manage it through these proprietary AI driven software programs. And so the only issue is that when you deal with government, the sell cycle is long. So we would hope that they would have actually been able to move quicker, but we're very happy that they have been able to get some of the contracts that they have, and hopefully more to come.
That's a tough situation to go through. I mean, the only time in my life I've taken a shower in that short a period of time was in the military. And that's not a desirable moment to only have once a week. I mean, I'm glad that now there's a proof and case study for the company to come into play and make a difference. That's huge. Sorry,
Yeah,
it's going through so much turmoil to get there, though.
yeah, it's a shame. It's really a tragedy.
um, Turn Bio's recent deal valued over 300 million to develop eye and ear therapies. Can you explain more about that?
Well, we don't have any more details than what I posted on social media, but it's a fabulous milestone of recognition of their proprietary technology, which we put in the category of longevity. But some of the things that they're solving are sort of outside the realm and including longevity. But we believe it's a major game changer for that company. And we think their valuation could go up a lot. We think it could accelerate their ability to go public. So we were extremely happy when that press release came out.
And how long have you guys been involved with Turn Bio?
Well, we've probably been involved over 3 years, and we've also participated in multiple financings.
Well, uh, now when you look at the number of different companies you've invested in, what's the average time you stay invested before you can see them get to a place of success or launch into the market in a
You
major
know,
way?
as a rule of thumb, and again, some are quicker, but some are longer. I would say a 3 to 5 years development cycle, and that is why I'm really talking on these types of platforms right now, because we've sort of been stealth for about 5 6 years, and now many of the companies are starting to launch their products commercially, and so we want to talk about what they're doing, not what they hope to do. But you know what? It's you can't there's no instant gratification when you get involved in an early stage company.
That's so true. You never know what's going to happen next. Interesting tweets you made about Dynex Crypto and the DeLorean Back to the Future EV car. You recently confirmed in another interview involvement here that would you like to reveal any more information or just encourage investors to watch the space?
Sorry, which space? Electric cars or quantum computing? So Dynex is a quantum computing company that we've been looking at, made a modest investment, and very, very interesting company that's basically creates quantum computing without hardware. So we believe it's a major breakthrough, and you know they're working on on partnerships, and we're hoping that some of those come out in the near future.
So we should keep an eye on the electric vehicle market for something new.
Yes, I think that I would say yes to that.
Okay. I'm excited about that. Everybody knows the DeLorean from Back to the Future. At least it's my age or above. Um, all right. Now, concerning net asset value, your monthly NAV report is expected to come out soon. How much do the 2.89 million NFG shares from the legal settlement worth about 10 million add to the NAV per share?
Well, I think people can do their own math. We have 50 odd million shares outstanding. So it's a pretty straightforward mathematical exercise. I
Okay.
don't have the exact number.
Does this take us over CAD dollar per share?
Um, I can't comment on that right now.
Okay. I'm asking in-depth questions here. The NAV per share before the settlement win was roughly CAD of 80 cents. How do you see the metric evolving over the next year, and what are the key drivers that could impact NAV?
Well, we have a lot of companies, and typically how we value our companies is based on their most recent financing, if they're private, and if they're public, we mark to market. We also have a number of companies that we're hoping are going to IPO. We thought it was going to be in the May June timeframe. It's now been delayed more towards the end of the year. So those events, those milestones, if those companies performed and after the IPO, they go up, not down, then we believe that that could also be accretive to NAV. So we're very optimistic that the NAV is going to go higher, but you know, there's nothing certain right now. And we're also dealing with an extremely challenging junior market. The junior market is not performing. Everybody looks at NVIDIA as an example of a bellwether, but you know, that's a trillion-dollar company. When you deal in the companies in our space, they have not really had the love yet. So many of them we believe are undervalued, but we believe that the cycle for junior companies is coming. That would be extremely robust for us.
Awesome. And okay, I'm going to move now to digital assets. There seems to be a whole nother niche that you're invested in. The fair value of digital assets increased significantly from 4.013 million as of June 30th, 2023 to 6.26 million as of December 31st in 2023. What strategies are you employing to manage the inherent volatility and risks associated with digital assets?
Well, in some cases, when they've increased in value, we sell some because we don't have any sources of income other than exiting certain investments, and then we reinvest in further digital assets. So we're very positive on this area. Obviously, sometimes it's subject to the bellwether of Bitcoin, which is extremely volatile. So we try to keep on top of it as much as we can.
Fair enough. I mean, have your digital assets continued to grow since the latest increase?
Again, I'm not really allowed to give forward-looking information.
Okay. Um, well, with your great track record, I'm sure people would very much like to buy all sorts of things that you're buying, whether the stocks or whether they're crypto. I mean, if there's some examples off the top of your head, how liquid are they?
Well, some are more liquid than others, which is common trait of companies that have low market caps. Um, but and they ebb and flow. Sometimes there's lots of volume, and sometimes there's not. So I think that I would behoove everybody to uh, do the due diligence on the various assets that we disclose. Go to those companies' websites, watch their interviews on YouTube. I think that uh, as people go down the so-called rabbit hole, they'll find lots of information that will help them in assessing, the merits of all these individual assets.
It makes a lot of sense. That's part of what we try to tell everybody here on the show is know what you own, do due diligence, and spend more time trying to learn how to do that than um, seeing what a chart setup is. Because if you don't have that foundation, it really makes a huge difference in how you invest.
Agreed.
Now I've got one on financial performance. The company reported a net loss in the previous year. You're now expected to have significant profits with cash and no debt, on top of being 70% below your audited NAV book per share in the next financials. The year end happens to be this month. Can you elaborate whether this will be the case or what are the primary factors driving this significant increase?
Yeah, again, I'm not really allowed to give forward-looking information, unfortunately.
Are you able to comment on potentially factors that might be driving success in the present term?
Well, we're extremely optimistic, and that's the reason why I'm doing the interviews. That what I believe that the best is yet to come for all these companies, and every week goes by, some milestone is hit here and there, and then episodically the market reinforces those milestones. But I'm extremely optimistic of what's going to happen between now and the end of the year.
Outstanding. Now, on to legal actions. I know you mentioned a little bit about this last week, but how did the recent legal dispute that you won impact the operations in terms of time and energy? I mean, how good are your lawyers, security lawyers? I mean, you must be pleased, right?
Yeah, I think we got a pretty good outcome. So we believe we hired the best.
Was it frustrating?
It's challenging. Every court case is very challenging.
I imagine it is. And with being with as many investments as you are, I'm sure that you must have a good legal team for situations that may arise.
Correct.
Normal course of issuer bid, NCIB. Can you explain the rationale behind NCIB share buyback plan and how do you decide the timing and quantity of shares to repurchase?
Okay. So basically, we're trading at below our NAV. We've been in a blackout here for quite a while because of the lawsuit and the negotiations to settle. So we've had to stop our issuer buyback. We do our issuer buyback. We're allowed to buy in any one calendar year 5% of the shares. So we've been, adhering to that, and we basically only buy after 48 hours after we issue our monthly NAV. So I'm hoping that this next month we will be able to restart that issuer buyback.
You recently mentioned buyback should resume like mid July. Do you yourselves have exciting catalysts or milestones leading up to this date, even though it's only a few weeks away?
Um, we're just basically looking at our breakup value per share, and we're going as if the company can buy its shares back at a discount to that value, then we believe that's accretive to all shareholders. So it doesn't even have to change much for us to be happy to buy back our own shares.
And personal question on that level. I know in U.S. stocks, there's like certain blackout dates where where the company can't purchase shares like 2 weeks before or after financials, things of that nature. Are you in Canada stuck to the same restrictions in that way?
Yeah, our board sets their own restrictions, and we abide by those.
I understand there's a quiet period lately where you couldn't do anything. Perhaps still can't. I mean, are you allowed to say why you have the blackout?
No.
Fair enough. All right. How do you believe the company's consistent policy of buying back its own shares will benefit the shareholders?
Well, if the shares are worth 70 cents and they're trading at 30, and you can buy them back at 30 and cancel them, then there's fewer shares outstanding in the company and everybody benefits.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, if there's and it increases the ability for the stock to have momentum build quickly. Tighter the float, the more it'll move, right? Given the diverse nature of your investments, how do you manage market, credit, and liquidity risks?
Well, that's a daily job, and we look at all the indicators out there and try to make our best decisions.
Can you discuss any recent changes or adaptations to your risk management strategies?
There haven't been any.
Awesome. I like consistency. Now, on the private investments, with a significant portion of your portfolio in private investments, how do you assess and monitor the performance and potential of these investments?
Well, we're in touch with these companies frequently. We're constantly involved in conversations, in many cases, how to help these companies. So we try to do our best to be informed. Um, Sometimes that's easier than other times, depending on management's availability and so forth, but that's one of our jobs.
Do you find that quite often you have to pivot based on the information that you're receiving?
I think the companies pivot more than our decision, but if we're looking at something and we aren't happy with the progress, we make it known. If it's private, we can't sell it, so we really, are restricted in our flexibility on exiting, if you will. But if it's public and we don't like what's going on, then at least we have a market upon which we can sell.
Makes sense. It helps a lot for the shareholder to understand how much really goes on behind investing in other companies. And man, it's almost like a juggling act. You've got so many things up in the air and so many things to pay attention to. I'm really astounded at how well you've done with that. So I applaud you.
Thank you.
Um, Concerning the regulatory market and environment, how do you see the current regulatory and economic environment impacting your business operations, particularly with regard to digital assets and venture capital investments?
Well, that's a big question. We don't really see much change. The one thing that I will say is in the digital asset arena, um, the Bitcoin ETF being approved for BlackRock in January was a watershed event, which
That was huge.
basically said that Bitcoin will never be confiscated, it will never be banned, that it's now an institutional investable product. So that has helped the whole digital asset landscape in a very positive way.
Yeah, I think so too. I thought it was huge. I was surprised to see it happen. Um, what proactive measures are you taking to mitigate any adverse effects?
Of
Well, of the volatility of capital investments and digital assets.
Well, we're trying to make the best decisions we can every day based on the information that we have.
Nobody has a crystal ball, do they? Um, Look, you hinted lately that the recent heavy selling in the last few weeks and months was a U.S. fund that had redemptions and therefore were forced to sell way below fair value of the company. Do you know if they finished selling and have they got more to go?
You never know. Like, no one ever tells you what they're really doing. So, um, my view is that the company's undervalued, and I'm very positive on it. The sellers are the sellers. We've had a very volatile market. A lot of the areas that we're in have had volatility. So, um, you never know. But we're very optimistic on the future.
Look, I've talked to investors forever. If you really know what you own, and you know that you're trading under value, when something like that happens, you should be smiling and buying stock. You shouldn't be complaining about the fact the stock drops because no public company can control whether or not their stock goes up or down ultimately. It's their job to run their company in a way that will align with increase in value of the stock. And it's the market's job to reply with the proper sentiment. So it's really like a twofold thing nowadays with all the algorithms. If investors start being negative, that picks up on algorithmic trading as well and can be detrimental to a stock on top of anything else happening. So it's important for people to understand that what they say and how they say it and the opportunities that present themselves are something they have to capitalize on. The stock goes down, buy more. I mean, everybody wants a lower cost average when you're investing in a company that has so much vast um, potential in many different arenas. And I think that's what we find here with IDKFF. Being a family office with a lot of expertise, with a track record of many billion-dollar exits, does this also allow you to adopt more quickly to development and operations in companies that have boards and employees with less chemistry?
Um, Nothing's ever certain. You do your best with the information you have. If you own a gold stock and the price of gold falls, it doesn't matter what management says.
Yep.
The price of the shares are going to fall. So there's a lot of macro events that are outside the control of these companies, and they play into it. Like you said, you have algorithmic players that manipulate many of these companies. The short selling, the naked short selling, is a very, very big problem. We think we're a victim of that as well. So, these are things that are very difficult to overcome sometimes in the short run.
Well, does it at least make it quicker for you to respond to some of these challenging things based on your experience and level of expertise?
Yes.
Good. Concerning USP, how does 3D help investors with diversification, due diligence, time, and saving money?
USP? I didn't quite understand that.
It's a good question. Let me just pose the question. I don't know about USP. How does 3D Capital help investors with diversification, due diligence, time, and saving money?
Yeah, so I think this is, what a benefit that we can offer investors, because many of them are not able to get access to the investments that we see. And if they do, it's probably not at the very, very low valuations. We get brought into these projects because we're value added and we help companies scale and create partnerships. So what this allows, I think, the average investor to do is get a diversified representation of companies that we're involved in. In other words, whether it be AI or mining or longevity, if investors are interested, here they are. They're not putting all their eggs in one basket, and we are actively trying to manage these investments. So I think it's an opportunity that people are unable to do on their own, and that's the attraction I think that we provide at 3D.
We have a few questions from the chat in here. I'd love to see if you would take a few of them. We have one from Ryan Shadle. It says the company trades for less than half liquidation value based on the last Q. Can you explain that a little bit?
I think we've already discussed that.
Fair enough. Um, from Matt Radical, what's the company so quiet on the recent NFG share win? I mean, should not the stock be much higher with the recent value added to the NAV?
I would think so, but that's the market.
Yeah, it depends on the way people respond to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, and price of gold has fallen. People are discouraged by that as well.
I have another great question by another public CEO who happens to be in the crypto area. And I think he was one of the first ones that I'm aware of that went as far as making his wallet address public so people could look at the transactions. They were making money on transactional process through one of the platforms. And he's asking, is your wallet public?
No, it's not.
Is that
We don't want
something the
to
company would consider?
No, we don't want to get hacked.
Oh, they can hack you just by knowing what your wallet address is?
I'd say it gives them a big advantage.
Okay. Is here we go. I don't know who this person's name is, but is there going to be a special dividend for the year ending June 30th, 2024?
It's not planned at the moment.
Fair enough. Does IDK plan to sell NFG shares in the near term for liquidity or for other investments?
We may not. We evaluate that every week.
All right. Well, I'm glad to see people are commenting and creating questions in here. Is there anything else you'd like to say to the shareholders or investors before we end the Q&A?
No, listen, I really appreciate your time and certainly everybody's support. I think people are going to be very happy as we move into 2025, which we believe could be an extraordinary year. So I think I would just say, be patient and try not to, look at the price, on an hourly basis.
If you're invested in something long term, just buy small, manageable chunks and consider it a retirement program. You're gonna stress yourself out if you watch every day. Stocks do rise and they fall.
Like gravity.
Sheldon, it's been a real pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for the transparency and the questions being answered. I look forward to finding out more about the portfolio of investments you have because there's so many of them. Like there's no way we could cover them all on one Q&A.
Yeah. Yeah. Just stay tuned.
All right, you got it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to open up now and answer questions from the chat and go into a live stock talk with Shido and Kiko Stocks. Kiko, Pat, hey, buddy. Hey, change your camera so your face is higher. You look like you're a midget.
There we go. All right.
What's up, guys?
How's it going?
Great. So what'd you think of the interview?
It was excellent. It was good to hear from Sheldon on what he's doing, what he's working on.
Yeah, it was pretty upbeat today. I liked it.
Yeah, I think he's going to keep up the good work and keep pushing at it. I think we're really going to see it turn around. But anytime you have a fund or a large investment company or an individual that has that many shares selling, a stock's going to go down. And you're just going to have to deal with it. As an investor, if you're trying to sell tomorrow, I can understand being mad. But ultimately, it gives you a chance to average down, increase your position for cheap, and get a better return on your investment. I mean, if you know what you own and you're in the right company, of course. I think this would be one of them.
Yeah, I think everybody who hears about that story right now and who listens to the interview and all that stuff and who looks at the numbers, I think everybody is asking himself why is the stock trading this low? It's interesting, actually. I don't think you would find anybody who says this is fairly valued, and yet the stock is at the current level. So it's an interesting case.
DISN said you can only average down when you have not already done that. Well, listen, I look at it like a savings account because I'm not like Shido. I don't invest in 20 different companies at once. I try to pick a smaller handful and stick with them for a longer term because I don't want to pay capital gains tax. So I know I got to hold at least a year. So companies like LTNC or in this case now GMGI or IDKFF or HWall. I mean, there's quite a few companies that I would say they're going to fluctuate, but every time there's a little dip, buy some more stock, keep on holding on to it. And when things work out, you're going to make out like a bandit, at least better than you would if you just buy a chunk and then you're mad that the thing's down tomorrow.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm crazy.
Definitely.
Someone says it smells like there's big news coming from somewhere with IDKFF. Sheldon did tell or say a while back at the end of June, Hypercycle should be naming a big FANG size partner. Anybody know anything about that?
Well, I do remember he mentioned something about a big impending announcement with the FANG company. And then we didn't hear about that. And then there's also that TotaQ thing. And I'm curious about this TotaQ thing because I still don't think that anything has happened with that. Like I was looking to buy TotaQ and it was not available. And that was supposed to be happening soon as well. So I just, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of things that,
that
need
conference
to happen here that haven't happened.
Is delayed. The TotaQ conference apparently is delayed. They're making it public or something. I mean, he elaborated on that, right, Josh?
Yeah, he did elaborate on it a little bit. I know once they do make the nodes go active, they're also going to give a dividend to the people that are invested in 3D, correct? Or is it just the people invested in TotaQ itself?
No, it should be IDK as well.
That's what I thought.
At some point.
Well, I mean, you know, as I'm finding out, because I'm not as steeped in knowledge of blockchain and stuff as you are, Shido or Kiko, but there's a lot that goes on behind it, and there's so many opportunities to get your timeline knocked out of whack based on how things go. And all you can do is keep on following the red tape and handling things one at a time. So 4 months out of a timeline, that's not unforeseen in any way.
No. I mean, you run into things like that all the time with wallet hacks and just there's so much that makes it so much more challenging for people. You know what I mean? That you know, it's understandable there can be delays.
Yeah. Do you agree with him when he said, you know, making your wallet address public makes you at higher risk?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I know that a lot of famous people, especially famous crypto personalities, keep a public wallet. So that's I don't think it really works that way.
I didn't either necessarily. I didn't want to say anything then. I think that as you can attest to, it's more along the lines of what you interact with from your side as the owner of that wallet.
Yeah, that's right. And you know, I mean, in the case of me, when it happened to me at the start of May, you know, someone had sent a file to me that had an executable inside of a PDF, and then they were able to exploit the PC. So, I mean, it's more probable that they would be able to hack your wallet by having your email versus your wallet address. You know what I mean? So, I didn't see that public wallet address as being something that would make it more at risk. Yeah,
Ryan's responding. He said it might make you a target, but standard safety procedures keep wallets safe. So, and they have to know the specific email address associated with the wallet, which shouldn't be the one you use all the time. You know, you kind of want to have a separate email for something like that, so people don't really know what it is, anyways.
Well, and I was just saying email because like they knew, like they were able to send me an email with the nasty file on it. And then I opened it and then it executed something inside of my computer. And so since then, if you're new to this, you should probably be considering hardware wallet. So now, like even if they wanted to take everything off of my wallet, they can't because it needs to be plugged into the computer. But yeah, I didn't know that at the time. You know what I mean? I wish I did, but that's just one of the thing. That's just another day in the life of crypto. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Don't lose that key, man.
No, I won't.
I like the fact we can see all the chat going on here.
Yeah.
So, guys, you want to
Someone
dive
said,
into
"What a
some of the
handsome-
market
what a
activity?
handsome crew." Is that my mom in there saying that? I
Where's
don't
your
know.
mom?
No, someone said, "What a handsome crew," and I was saying, like, I know, you know what I mean? But no, that's funny.
Hey, thanks, Sam. You said excellent show. Matt Radical, he's made some great comments. He's like, burn the shorts. I don't know. It happened to me one time. I was cleaning a fence line and pull up all the brush, put some kerosene and gas on there. My shorts went up in flames.
You did
No
burn
joke.
your actual shorts.
Yeah.
I have seen some good questions in the chat during the interview.
There were some good ones. Yeah.
Yeah, made a lot of sense, some of this stuff.
Matt Radical wants us to discuss naked shorting. I mean, SI suspected that they may be a victim. Again, GMGI suspected they might be dealing with something like that as well. Very few people, maybe somebody else can speak on this, but I believe unless you have a large account, you don't have the ability really to short penny stocks like that. You just don't. You have to have enough assets in your account for them to allow you to do that. So it kind of limits the number of people that can. Doesn't mean it can't happen. And the other thing is people talk about dark pools and other different types of ways that people can short your stock. And I mean, look, there's websites and places you can go to find out this information. And it changes on a daily basis. But I mean, if you're looking at a recent case, GMGI had it changed from like 90,000 shares short to 280 some thousand shares short in a short period of time. So, what are you really looking at? 200,000 shares of shorting? I mean, that's not enough to take a stock from $6 down to 2 something. But that's what happened, and the compounding issue was the market sentiment changed. Shareholders started complaining about the fact the price was dropping, which negated all the positive news that was coming out that should have made the stock go up. And then on top of it, people that saw the stock drop didn't know what they owned, didn't pay attention. They sold because they were scared. So there you have like 3 or 4 things hitting all at the same time. The stock's down way below where it should be, and you're pissed off thinking you're holding a bag. There's good news. You haven't sold yet, so don't.
Well, and there's something to be said. Like there's two things to consider. Like on one hand, if the stock's able to be shorted and the short doesn't get squeezed, then it was vulnerable to it and it wasn't particularly strong. So that's number one. But the other side of the coin is that a lot of companies are going this route of blaming naked shorts for all their problems. I mean, like I recall GTII, it was 100% selling from the company, 100% nonstop selling from the company. Same with CRTD, just 100% selling. And then they were able to kind of take advantage of this zeitgeist around saying it's the naked shorts fault all the time. And it became just a way for guys to cash in on GameStop mania and stuff like that. And so I really do take, like, I understand that there's naked shorts out there, but I take a lot of that naked short discussion with a grain of salt now. And at the end of the day, if you own something and you have a level where you're going to go red and it goes below it, it doesn't matter if it's shorts, longs, camels, kittens, whatever it is, if it goes below the line, you have to control yourself and decide if you're willing to go red or not. And that's the big discussion that I think is missing from a lot of this. This passing the buck to naked shorts. And that's the part from the retail trader's perspective that I don't really accept. There's King calls save my life. Thank you, Digital Enforcer.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, I'm also not a big fan of the naked short stories. I mean,
Yeah.
there are shorts in the big board. Obviously, we know that. But these endless naked shorts, even the numbers you mentioned, Josh. I mean, they went up GMGI, but this is not naked shorts. This is normal shorts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Naked shorts. Obviously, you don't see the short interest number going up because it's naked. It's one thing to short, but to naked short, you need the special broker. That's first, because otherwise a normal broker, they don't let you short if they cannot locate any shares to borrow. It's a lot of you have to have a lot of fantasy to really believe that stuff.
Yeah.
An old school Jewish guy that's a good friend of mine and trades a ton. He told me that right now, I forget what platform, maybe it was E-Trade, says that Golden Matrix Group is it's easy to borrow shares against Golden Matrix Group right now. Like they have it labeled as something they'll let people borrow on easily.
Yeah,
I don't know what metric that is. I don't buy or sell shorts or calls or puts, so that's not something I'm super familiar with. But apparently, there's a rating that allows some to be more accessible to short than others, and it happens to be one at the present moment.
Yeah.
Which sucks.
And Sam is mentioning this FINRA short daily volume. That's not short interest. The 42% short volume is not short interest. And I have the explanation on what it is straight from OTC Markets on my Twitter feed if anybody is interested. But there is a big difference between the short volume, which market makers like short into it and then cover and during the day, and the short interest. That's two totally different things.
Yeah, because the short volume and even the short interest, like when you're looking at a 000 stock or whatever that's pulling a ton of money in and out each day. I mean, market makers borrow from each other to fill orders in a smooth and orderly way. And so a lot of times someone will look at some 0002 thing and say, wow, look at the short interest is through the roof today.
Yeah.
But that's mostly them just filling orders. And that's something that unfortunately is still getting passed around as a reason to buy more of something, which is not true. It's not.
Yeah, no, it's getting passed around. And sometimes it shows like 75% shorted on a trip 8 stock, like 600 million shares traded, and people believe it. I mean, how would that be possible that 75% of the volume is short? I mean, it just doesn't happen. I mean,
no, it doesn't.
That's not the case.
Hey, Sam's like short interest Friday was 19.51. Does he mean percent or million or
on what
19 shares? I'm not sure.
IDKFF.
I'm guessing.
Wow.
And also IDKFF is a special situation. You don't forget that this is a listed stock in Canada. So here, market maker constantly do the arbitrage, when the stock in Canada moves, then they can like fill orders, that they always go with the price in Canada. It's a very different special situation as well.
Yeah, it's real tough when they're traded in so many markets, because some of the easiest markets for a company to get listed on are Canada, OTC, and Frankfurt Exchange. And I see that quite often. I mean, not hugely, but there are companies that do it. And I don't know which one to look at as the main caliber of where the company should be valued at. And it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, the main. I mean, in the example of IDK, I mean, clearly, I mean, the price is made in Canada. I mean, it's their home exchange, they are from Canada, so that the price is mainly made there. If somebody starts like buying crazy in the US on the US side, then yes, this could potentially move Canada then. But usually it's Canada giving the price, and obviously the US market maker react to it. I mean, that's a system, obviously, because otherwise you would have constantly arbitrage situations, which some would exploit,
Matt makes plenty of sense. He's like, look, Canada's the main market here. He said an uplist to larger exchange will happen as NAV, right? Well, there's a lot of other metrics that have to be met in order to uplist. I mean, there's a number of shareholders, there's assets, net asset value, but there's also price, there's share structure, there's executive leadership. They have to have so many people on a board. There's a lot of different things that come into play if you're going to uplist. But I do think that looking at IDKFF, it wouldn't take them that much to get to that place. Your worst case scenario, they meet all the other criteria and then do a reverse split to qualify for the pricing. And that in that case, that's the only time they reverse split. It's not a negative thing. If you're doing it just to comply with the listing requirements for going to NASDAQ or New York Exchange. But I don't think that they're in a rush to do that. There's no point. I mean, they've got all their eggs are in these hundreds of other companies that potentially can be huge windfalls. Not all of them will make it, but it only takes like 5 or 6 of them for this company to really have a huge boom in value.
Yeah, a massively successful investment on their part would give them a huge, I mean, like they don't need to necessarily be in a hyper liquid market converting shares, because I don't know if it would really serve them that well. I mean, it would be nice, obviously, to be in a hyper liquid market with that level of volume for sure, but I'm not necessarily sure if the business case would be there to do it. Yeah, as an owner.
Does anybody else in the chat have any more questions? You guys want to get into some market activity for the day?
Sure. Yeah, I got the list here.
Go ahead, share your screen. Get rolling.
Hold on.
Now, while he's pulling that up, guys, we really encourage you. We're here to talk about different stocks that you're looking at. Go over due diligence. Have some constructive view of what you're seeing, because our ultimate goal is to see you guys be empowered to make better decisions, have larger accounts, bring more liquidity back to OTC markets, because that's really where we all want to play. I mean, you don't want to stay up 24/7 trying to invest in crypto, not get any sleep, have increased anxiety and stress and all of the other things that come with it. I think, we're missing a heyday here where you can shut off at 4:00 and not worry about it till the next day, because there's not really an after hours market going on. You're not going to have to worry about starting before 9:30. It's, you put in your work in the middle of the day. You can make good money when there's liquidity, and the stocks can move really well. That's what we're looking for. So if you have questions around things like this, we're here to help in any way we can. Crypto Hacky says, what are your thoughts on the DeLorean EV car? Do we think they have big involvement there? Dude, I hope they do. I mean, everybody used to love Back to the Future. If they can create an EV car that can look like a DeLorean, drive like a DeLorean, and maybe time warp, that'd be great.
So a few movers today. This BIOE made this massive move.
You going to share your screen?
It should be shared, isn't it?
Nope. Maybe I didn't accept it or something. I don't know.
Not yet.
Says I'm sharing it.
Okay. Oh, wait. There you go.
There we go. This BIOE made a massive move today, and big dollar volume. It's a really nice setup. for the life of me, I was really struggling to understand kind of why. I mean, when I looked at it, I saw that they had the new officers come in, Yang Huang, and then they replaced that officer with Yin Yan. And I remember seeing the 8K and just kind of being like, okay, well, they got Yin Yan now, so what? But I mean, to me, it struck me as maybe being kind of some insider action. You know what I mean? And it frustrated me a little bit seeing the insider action because there, there was really no way for me to be able to participate in it in any real way. So that was
Hey, you guys remember Yin Yang twins?
yeah, the Yin Yang twins.
Yin
So
Yang and the thing.
so that made a move, but I was irritated by it because like I don't know, can I see? I can't anticipate that. Like I wouldn't have known that Yin Yang was the key to mooning
Nobody
it,
would.
and I wouldn't have been able to even find Yin Yang. You know what I mean? Like if I'm I'm on the internet, looking up Yin Yang. You can't find Yin Yang. So that irritated me quite a bit
Crypto
today.
Hecky says Wing Wong is next.
Wing Wong is next. Well,
Yeah.
so outside of that, so you can see right here, this is the dollar volume column here. So 420 grand into Yin Yang, which is pretty good. Outside of that, you're seeing anything over 100% outside of BIOE. The best volume was on two gray things,
Super low.
over $5,000. Then when you kind of get down into, I'll zoom it in a bit for you as well here. You kind of get down into under 100%. You get into some moves. This RLTR has been oscillating between 15 and 20 for quite a while. There's no catalyst there that I know of at all.
Just a trading range.
It's just kind of trading that range, which is very frustrating. This MSRM, it's just this volume. This volume is so low on a lot of these things that I'm not really able to do much. There's something with this WBSR, so we'll take a look. This GRTX made a good move today. Toner at this point, I don't know what it's going to take for Toner. It seems that people have begun to start walking away from them. This Civics is a trip that's had a bit of action, but this is a Frank from Alpha Ridge ticker. And to me, whenever I see that, I just imagine like all the times where he was like, "Hey, I'm all out, guys," but
he's got a ton
never
more.
out. He's never out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It never seems to happen.
GTVH
nice
making
bounce.
the list.
What was that?
They've been having some strong volume lately. I mean, they did $183,000 of volume in trading.
Yeah, they did. And let me see. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the whole screen so I can go through the tabs. Okay. Window. Let's try that. There, can you allow that now? There. So GTVH has made a decent little bounce there. I don't really know what. I know that they had an increase, and maybe you can put some color on it, Shido. I know they had an increase in like the amount of unrestricted shares, and I'm guessing that's what this was. So is that why they sold it, or what? Because I couldn't make sense of it really.
I have no idea how many they sold lately into the DTC. They sure had some increase. I mean, they usually have some increase. The main note guy is restricted to sell 10%, I think, for the day. now with the new
Here you go.
deal that he did with the company, so that he cannot really crush it every single day. But I don't know. I mean, it made a huge move. So we see that, right?
It looks like 100 million got filtered in.
Yeah.
It'd be great if they had a chart that showed the shares just like they do the stock price. They could show like the rise and fall of the number of shares that are liquid in a company. Like have one line for restricted, one line for outstanding, and then a line for the float.
Yeah, they have this on the Telegram bot. They have such a screen that one could put look up the symbol, and then it shows you when the DTC went up and by how much and stuff like that.
So I guess, I mean, what I would look to do here is you can kind of see that they've created a bit of a level here. You can see it at around dub 3. So I mean, if you were looking to see if people were okay with the 100 million that were filtered in or willing to absorb it, it'd have to stay above dub 3 for me. And if I was looking to take it now, I might just grab it and then ask it to stay above dub 3, and probably if it started going below it again, probably burn it off to cover my ass, because those long sustained moves out here are fewer and further between for sure. So I think that would be the only way I could handle it. This Righton's off a split, but the dollar volume is very low, and it seems like most of the moves on it are preloaded, to be honest with you. And so I'm finding it tough. I'm finding that a lot of the moves are on higher price securities right now, and when you're trying to do things on higher price securities, it's very lonely as far as social media goes. Like, you're not gonna look forward to any retweets or any community involvement. Like, it's a very lonely road. The one that pissed me off today was this Takumo, and
TKMO.
Takumo, yeah. And I was really wanting to get in the game as far as, people like lower price things and trips and stuff like that. And was interested in this break here around 7. And I was really frustrated to see it right back to where I started, basically. Big picture, it's kind of been working its way out of the downward slide it's on. And so, when you look at the big picture, it's better for sure. I just, I 7 to 10 and then back to 7, it bores, it tires me out. You know what I mean? Like,
that was frustrating today for sure. Because early on it looked really good today.
Yes.
I don't know who dumped it then. It's always so hard to tell, was it really delusion immediately now? We will see the update, but can we trust the update? Like, really, if it's delayed or not? It's. I mean, some people bought this obviously at 4, at 5 in size.
I guess, but I don't see that much.
Yeah, it's not that
like
much.
I don't see that much here that would justify them and then if I look at where they sold it on average, are they really just buying 5 and then 5 or 6 and then completely liquidating a position at 10?
It's a good question. I don't know.
Buy it.
Yeah, I don't
buy it.
I mean, if you watch the coins, they constantly sell themselves red. So.
Well, and that's been the fascinating thing about this whole experience with these coins. You know what I mean? Like, to actually see retail behavior in action without market makers and stuff, because we spent so much time blaming market makers over the years, and
delusion always. I mean, there is a lot of delusion, obviously, always in these, but not every single time.
No. And so, I mean, it's entirely possible this is retail and it is maintaining the level, but I felt tired from it. I felt like, when are we going to get that rip?
Yeah. Well, you can see the volume started to fizzle at the top after people had already seen the stock go up. Well, just to the left of where your cursor is, like the
Yeah.
volume started to dry up right there, and it just lost momentum.
Well, and you look at that. I mean, if you look at that outside of this sell-off, you would say, okay, they held it, and new buyers were hesitant to come in because they were worried it might dump, but then the sellers weren't there. And then, for it to happen all at once, it just felt a little bit like the company to me.
Yeah.
Obviously, they are turning that company around. It just really frustrated me, and it made me, you know what I mean, like to be picking it up here on Thursday and then waiting here now all the way it's Tuesday tomorrow, and to be back at trip 7. I was just like,
yeah, understandable.
So everybody's got a friend. I'm like, I would love to know if you guys do as well. I have a friend of mine called me, let me know about TKMO. Was all excited about. He bought some shares in TKMO, and it was at the top of that run. He's encouraging me. He's like, "Yeah, you should get some. The stock's gonna rip." And I'm just like, "Well, by the time somebody's called you and they've already bought the stock, and you start to look at it, there's a good chance you're going to hold the bag with OTC stock."
I think that's the problem that people are having now. Like I think not long ago, and even pre-COVID, the concept of buying something at trip 9 after, someone bought trip 6, like we wouldn't look at that as dump risk. You know what I mean? Maybe dub 2 would be, but now it just feels like, people are they see green and they're just racing to the bottom because they don't know if they'll see another buyer ever again.
Yeah, that's the thing, I think. Because to be fair, 2 days ago, this one looked really interesting. Valuation, nice. Setup, still nice. Obviously, they are diluted, but still good. And tons of volume, like record volume 2 days ago, or when that was. So there was a case to be made that this might be the next GTVH, Right. GTVH had several 100% move. So, and I don't know what happened today. We will see the next update, and I don't know.
Interest shifted to another stock.
Yeah.
Which one?
I mean, don't know.
Yeah.
That's the big question. And I think that's the tough part now is someone will say, wow, I'm up 80% or whatever, and I'm just, going to dump it all. And then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way. Like we're creating our own reality, and you can moan and complain about it all you want, but it is the reality now. And and that's not to say that this Takumo's done by any means. I'm disappointed on the day. Yeah, but ultimately they have turned it into a profitable company after being a non-profitable company. It has broken, like the big picture is that it's had a few up days in a row, and it has broken a big downtrend. But and it's a good shot of volume off the bottom. It's just do we, and you can even see it here. Like it's moving, but do we have what it takes to move this many shares? And if they dilute any at all, like you look at what they did to GTVH, like GTVH it was a really good run, and they had to cash in a few shares to fund their operations. And if this is how retail is going to thank them, it's just a tough situation,
Yeah, definitely retail guys are taking profits faster now than
big time. And understandably why. I understand why.
And it's a vicious cycle because others see this and they hold the bag and they say to themselves, obviously, the next time I'm not holding the bag. So it goes on and on in the cycle.
I'm green, I'm gone. But the bigger issue is that as more and more things go gray, less and less greenfield type of opportunities, bottomed out opportunities exist. You know what I mean? And there are less chances. So if they're reckless with one, it's not like there's 2 coming off a stop sign tomorrow morning. You know what I mean? Like you're cutting down trees, and the new trees are not growing.
Well, that's part of something we've been trying to we've been interested in correcting is finding a way for everybody to get together and make a difference in certain plays. You know, if follow our accounts. Let's talk to each other, because it's not about like stringing someone out to get out of holding the bag. It's about, hey, if we collectively as a group of people get behind a stock like AME or GME or LTNC or whatever the case is, if we all do it collectively, we can make a real difference. I mean, not only will the algorithm trading pick up that there's some strong sentiment behind a ticker, but if there's enough buying, the darn thing will move. We can sustain a momentum play on a stock if people aren't playing lone wolf. And it's not easy to play with other people on a team, but that's just the truth.
Yeah, and this is another one that's had an okay move over the last few days. They got some DD floating around, and this one came off of the caveat emptor back in November, if you recall, and kind of sold off a bit. And this has been an okay move. It's tough to sustain. You know what I mean? It's really tough to sustain, because once you kind of exhaust one audience, the probability of it reaching people who are not, OTC natives on Twitter or whatever, like how do you get to them? You know what I mean? And I don't know what the answer to that is.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that one up because that has been a little bit disappointing as well for people, because this one had some good momentum basically the entire weekend. My feed was full of CATV DD, so they came up with some good stuff, some interesting persons involved with the merger coming up, and early on today they had some good momentum, and somebody was just dumping. I don't know who that is. They say there is no dilution. I don't know who was dumping into this momentum today. It's so weird to me, like in size, dumping in size, like putting up 2 million, 3 million on the ask through GTSM, and so this one was even read today, which I never thought will be possible.
Sometimes it's funny. Like there came a point. There was a point a couple years ago where I felt like whenever I tweeted something, there was some force out there, that the second I tweeted it would get dumped on.
I know.
I swear. And I at first I thought it was just a victim complex. And then other people, like you mentioned it, and other people have mentioned it to me. It's almost like there's something working against it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's very frustrating.
CMAX says not OTC, but still penny stock. I've been researching bigots. I don't know about the bigots part, but changes made. I feel like as inflation cools, they could make a run.
Well, I haven't looked into bigots lately.
What's bigots?
I don't even know. I don't even understand the word.
I don't know.
I'm not a bigot.
I need to look up the word in the dictionary.
Oh, no. Big lot. He said, there we go.
I knew it was something, but I wanted to go as long as I could.
Yeah. Big Lots. Oh, Big Lots, the store. Okay, what's their symbol?
BIG. Here it is.
BIG. Ooh, they've been on a down tear for a while.
Mm.
I've actually shopped at Big Lots before. I go to Costco. Costco, what a stock to be in over the last 10 years. If you bought that 10 years ago, you feel like you bought NVIDIA too.
So here it is, Big Lots. Outstanding. Boy, it's thin, eh? It's thin. 29 million outstanding, 23% short float. Jeez Louise. I mean, you could look at that absolutely as a squeezer candidate for sure. Optionable as well. I mean, they could put a gamma squeeze on it. You just never know.
Hold on. What's a gamma squeeze?
Where they just buy so many freaking calls that it just it just sends, I guess.
Yeah, because some option activity also has some impact for the stock.
DISN's question: how much of the OTC is one form of money laundering or another? Not as much anymore, because like if you look at the dollar volume figures here, these are all ADRs. You know what I mean? So these are things in other countries that trade in other countries. This is 10 cent. This is Luck and Coffee. You know what I mean? And so the OTC now is much less of that. Oftentimes when you see a shell with like zero news, zero anything, and Chinese owners, yeah, it's probably that. But I wouldn't say it's a big part of the OTC overall. You know what I mean? Like laundering, no. I mean, share selling scheme, sure. But laundering, not as much. But this big lots, I mean, it could become the squeezerino. And then you have that Q1 sales fall. Did they put out their earnings? How do I get earnings again? Anyways, it could squeeze, but I mean, for the time being, it's going straight down. So you'd have to, you know what I mean? That's pretty much all you can say. You'd have to, if you were going to try and get in on the squeeze, you'd have to be pretty slick with your averaging, or alternatively, because it's just getting worse, it looks like. Even the MACD is probably pointing straight down on the daily, yeah. What do I say? What do you say? You just got to be praying retail wants to squeeze it, man.
And see, moments like this, there's a special type of investor that capitalizes when a stock looks really horrible and comes out looking immaculate because they bought at the bottom. But it's so hard nowadays to tell where the bottom is.
It is like you'd have to be really, really confident in what you've heard.
What triggers would you look for? Like just because the MACD line crosses and starts to head north does not mean it's going to stay that way. It's not like. What indicators would you look at to see a turn from the bottom?
Well, okay. So like, let's say I was going to use the RSI on the daily, right? So I could see that it reached a real low kind of here at like -16 there. This is just a basic RSI. So maybe, and then historically, the other time that it bottomed out and made a big rip was around that same level, you know. And so, you know, you could argue that every time this RSI is tapped down to these levels, it's made a big rip. So, but you would probably on your chart need to set an alert kind of around here, and then you'd add an alert at that level. I don't want that. Add an alert at that level to say if it taps that, maybe that's the time you want to start picking it up to see if it will at bare minimum bounce, and then, you know, and then maybe that's the beginning of the big rip. You know what I mean? So that's one way to go. I think that's probably the way I'd probably have to look at it, because you're playing with fire.
Yeah.
You know? You're playing with fire.
Now, Big is not a OTC stock, right?
No.
Big Lots is a listed company, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, NYSE. So another question I have is, can you get the same type of play out of OTC stocks? Can you look at RSI and see it bottom like that? I mean, so what you're saying is only if the pattern on the charts lines up with this thought pattern, right?
The issue that you have with the OTC stocks is like, like because there's always volume in big lots.
Yeah.
You know what I
Sometimes
mean?
there's not always volume in OTC stocks.
And yeah, and that's the problem is that like as much like take this for instance, this TLSS. I mean it is a bag, and I mean it's delinquent now, and they've been selling for years now. But like you can't like I could look at this and say, well, it's bottomed out and whatever, but it also could be gray tomorrow. So you can't get that level of comfort.
Pull up the RSI chart on that. So what did it do after that big bottom over there on the left?
It's just doing nothing.
Can't see it above.
Oh, it's just doing nothing.
Well, there was a small rip there when it bottomed like that.
I guess a year ago. So
That's
it's very tough to say. Like, I mean, really, the way I would handle things like this is kind of the way I handled Takumo. Like, if you're on that long downward trend, and you see it, and you know that they're current, and you know that the company's okay, and then you can use that daily chart and set levels on top of the candles. So I can see here that, like, you could see that this is kind of the downtrend if I plop it on top, and then identify that moment where it starts to squeak through. That's generally the way I handle these OTCs, because the downtrend could be forever, and the volume you could get in a situation where it never has volume again. And so it's like, okay, when's that time when it stops just going down and down and down and down and crawls out of that?
So look at the setup on LRGR. Arrested Stock Development, who's one of our regulars, is like, LRGR is a vodka distributor. Now FinTech increased employees from 2 to 50 and 1.1 million. Wait, yeah. What? 2 to 50 to 1.1 million MC. Definitely interesting setup.
I looked at it this morning because they just closed that deal, and the volume is like extremely low. Like what was the volume today? 3K. So I mean, and it's been. I remember when I traded that first vodka merger back in December 2022, it lasted basically a day. And so, like, this is how I would set it up here. And, and I would want to see it, like, because it's been dicking around like this since November. So I'd want to see it crawl through that line. And then I'd need to see it go through with a big kick of volume. And, the thing about these OTCs is you'd say, well, why pay 03 if you could pay 025? Well, I got to know that there's someone else willing to put some skin in the game.
Yeah, otherwise it dries up and disappears, right?
So that would be the break there. And it would have to be a nice shot of volume because every move this has made has been sold right off.
Yeah, I've been trading this whenever I had the opportunity in the last several months. It's, as you said, it's very thinly traded. I like the setup, obviously.
It is thin.
So I just traded the spread sometimes. I mean, I do that stuff all the time, as you know. But I saw the change of control, the new business. I don't know how sexy the new business is, but I own some, and I'm watching it closely because the setup is great. If they, for whatever reason, find the new thing attractive, I mean, this can be fast at 6, 7, 8 cents if they want to.
If they wanted to let it go. And I mean, the problem with just trying to chill out and hold it is you can see that the downward rips are like a bed of nails. So, like, I mean, for me to want to buy it and go, okay, this is happening now, it would have to go through that line with a big kick of volume and some real bid support, or else I'm just, I mean, because we've been farting around here since November now.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
These, I mean, I always bought these in the teens and then sold like high 20s, 30s, whatever. I mean, This just back and forth. But as you said, makes sense. If you want to commit it, that line makes a lot of sense. I mean,
Yeah.
there's not too much interested so far
No.
since the COC. So I don't know.
And I would assume if they do get it revved up, it probably won't be, because like organic retail interest in these right now is low. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So expecting people to read the news and go, oh boy, that's a good buy. The probability of that happening is very, very low. So the question would be, when are they going to fire up their promo? And you'd probably get your answer as it went through that line.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything is about timing.
Yep.
What do you guys think about MVCO? I like it. I mean, I liked it for a long time, obviously, because the setup is nice, and Ryan puts in a lot of effort. And he's like he's building, or he tries to build some kind of holding company, right? I mean, with the coffee stuff and the Bitcoin mining, and now he has the LOR eventually with the distillery and Maga water now coming up for the elections. It's not bad, and the reason I mention it is because for a long time we saw some good interest on the buy side today, not on the volume necessarily, but at least there has been some good bids showing up, because usually there's almost nothing, you know. So who knows? I don't know if maybe they discover this one.
It'd be nice. I mean, I've always liked it, and I've felt that the price action is lacking, and I'm not necessarily sure it's Ryan's fault. I think that, you know, he's a bit of a victim of what retail wants right now, which is trips. And you know,
no, definitely not his fault, and he
no, you can see it.
lot.
You can see it down here. Like, this isn't him shitting on it.
No.
You know, it's just people are just like, well, okay, that's it, I guess, and on to CBIA for the 15th time. You know what
exactly
I mean?
Right. Yeah, it's so hard to get interest into this kind of stuff. It's actually it's amazing. But now with the buyback, now he wants to put up that buyback during the summer. So who knows? I saw a couple of 100K bids today. We will see.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe we could finally get this show on the road, because I don't think it's been any fault of his own. And the other one that has this merger that closed, it sounds the same as NBCO.
Yeah.
And we tried to trade this in April, and they were selling the entire time. It was absolutely nonsense. I'd had enough. I just was like, I'm done. I'm quit. But now they're not. You can see it.
Been very quiet the last few weeks. Very quiet.
And they put out news today.
Yeah, but I don't get. I mean, that merger looks really good. Why is the spread 50%?
50% spread.
So weird.
And they're adding what? How much are they adding to the bottom line? Like, there was a ton of revenue. 10 million or something. Yeah. So, you know, they're out there. Because I was expecting this would just smash through today, like, and they had the share cancellation and everything like that. Like, that is a good set. This is a great setup.
Great setup. It's real value they create through that merger. Imagine if all the trip volume goes into stuff like this, or into MVCO, or all that stuff.
And I don't know what it's gonna take. Honestly, I hear you.
It's probably always be a niche.
And this is the rub, right? Because, you know, other companies, you know, like I had looked at a Shell a year ago, and I said I don't know how I'll be able to recoup my costs if it's not a trip. And then the only way, like, and because I would want organic retail volume, but the only way I'd be able to recoup my costs is to take shitty loans and dump it to zero. Which I don't want to do. So, you know, guys like this who are merging in on things, you know, will they ever be rewarded for doing so? Because if they continue not to be, you'll never see another merger again.
Yeah.
If the share structure is that horrible before they merge, it's doomsday. If
Like
it's
this is
not
phenomenal.
over diluted and the share price is below a penny, say it's dubs, maybe high trips, and they have their financials in a row, they still stand a good position to make it.
Yeah.
But those shells get extremely expensive, and the people that are holding them know that. I mean, there used to be like a handful of guys, and there still kind of is, that have access to tons of shells. I mean, Shelley Shellcraft or whatever, like he used to be one that traded tons of shells. Um, I've got some on my phone. What's the other guy's name?
And that was the whole game of the
Yeah.
OTC, shells merging into things. And so if reverse mergers can't even get a sniff, you
Yeah.
know.
David Lazar.
Yeah.
David Lazar had tons of them.
Sold them all to the Chinese for the most part.
Yeah, and they're buying them like it was
Yep.
today's newspaper, and they started buying up a lot of shells here, putting companies in it. You'd see a nice rip, nice run, people buy in, get excited, and then the bottom falls out and they never recoup.
Yep.
And often they go quiet also. The Chinese, it's so frustrating. I have a couple of stuff that I own, like unbelievable setups, like this MSAH, It had that Chinese merger from David Duarte. He made that. I mean, if you go to that website, that looks like a really good business and stuff. And they basically did the change of control. And since then, they never ever said a word again.
No.
But
that's typical of these Chinese ones. And I mean, there must be something to having one
we are missing.
that is a way for them to move money, because you can't just move money out of China.
And think about it like this. It's a math equation, right?
That's it.
You pay $100,000 for a shell. You put $50,000 into marketing and promotion for a short period of time. That might take you out a week. So say you do $100,000 in marketing, you get 2 weeks of promo, emails, a call room or something like that, some social media stuff. So you put $200,000 in, but you're able to dump 300,000 or 400,000 in stock after it runs up. I mean, I would flip that all day long. That's why they were doing it. I mean, I'm
But they weren't
confident.
even saying, the Chinese ones weren't even saying anything. Like outside of Yin Yan here, like they would just, I mean, Lazar's got shells for days that, look at these guys. Never a word. Look at this.
Yeah. Yeah,
what are you showing?
MSAH is 6 million or 5 million float at 2 cents. Can you imagine what they can do with that if that's a good merger?
But they don't say, like QYBX, like I sat on QYBX forever back in 2017 after they merged this Chinese company in.
Yeah, I remember that. I traded this one as well.
And they never said a word. It's just so typical with these Chinese ones, and
yeah, and I think it's true with the Chinese. Sometimes I guess it's definitely some kind of money moving around.
So is there a company in it, or is it empty, or just nobody knows?
Yeah, there's Qinyan Baixing is the company. They changed the symbol and everything.
Yeah.
Look. Tough situation. And my hope will be that there'll come a day where people want to reward companies merging into the OTC and even spec it up a bit, because we used to. The run was the speculation of how big the merger could be, and it never really was as big as we'd hoped. But that was the run, and now it's like, well, I'll wait to see what the merger is. And then,
and then you take away the best thing from the OTC, the anticipation.
Listen to this. Unless you take pictures of Chinese people in banquet halls, you heard this? You
Yes.
take pictures of them at the banquet hall, and then you read what's on the wall behind them. Then you've got a merger that they like, right?
IGPK.
They like
What?
IGPK, but it's not performing lately.
No.
It's
What do you say? So when you got to get them into the room. That's what I'm saying. You find the people. You go to Chinatown, find them, get them in a room, get them eating, go to the buffet. Then you can have a run.
yeah. Have you guys seen IGPK?
No.
It hasn't done very well.
6, 7, no. Yeah.
Glad I sold it for a profit when I did.
I think they were hoping that those new financials were going to do something, and they didn't.
Exactly. I mean, they had like 20 million for the revenues, but very low cross margin.
There's like 100% chance that the moment he was on the interview and he said he was going to put more shares out, that people stopped wanting to buy the stock.
Yeah, I mean, that was really strange. Yeah.
We're going to give you more shares.
He mentioned like 20 billion. That was a problem, I guess.
That's
That's
wild.
insane. Now, if he's giving those shares out as a dividend to people that are buying their apps or whatever, maybe, but half of them are going to die because half of them people are never going to deposit or activate or what. They won't know what to do with them because they're just people using this tool. It doesn't
But I
make sense.
remember when they were getting, it was like, well, wait until the people will get the dividend shares for shopping and stuff. And I'm like, why are you excited about that? Because those are going to get sold on to you. You know what I mean? But
If they can even find a brokerage. Chinese guys finding a brokerage in the US,
I don't know.
if that's even possible. Yeah, I hope it has another run because there is a lot of good people in there.
There are, and I do too, and it was a great run. I just don't know really what's next there. I mean, they got to see some revenue. They got to see the guy have the interview, and
yeah, it's a little bit cooked for now, at least for now.
Yeah, who knows?
But that can change.
They need to go down to the Golden Corral. Listen to this. Go to the buffet, sit down, get a cameraman in, get a screen, get the PowerPoint up on the screen, start having some dim sum, take some pictures, and get them back up on the internet. That's what you got to do to run one of these babies. Come on.
I mean, if you
go out for dinner, guys,
to buy everybody free dinner, you can pack that room out and make it look exciting.
Exactly, and that's what it takes.
And that's cheaper than a marketing budget for an OTC company to get a promo.
Go to the Holiday Inn, rent the conference room. For God's sake, pump your stock up. Some sandwiches in there, lazy bums.
So you put out an advertisement in newspaper, social media, Craigslist, all the local places, and say free dinner. All you have to do is dress up in business attire and be excited and cheer when we take pictures.
Yeah, and Ryan
free.
with MVCO, listen up when I say this. Okay, get the people down to the Howard Johnston in the conference room, ship in some platters of chicken cordon bleu, get a cameraman, and then you can have a run. That's what it takes, obviously.
Yeah.
Cordon bleu and have a fish option.
Yeah. Don't forget the breadsticks.
Breadsticks. Come on.
All right, guys. We do have some companies that'll be coming up soon. CYIO is going to come back on. I've got another company I'm going to keep private at the present moment, but that's going to be back on. We have some small cap NASDAQ stocks that are going to be on here. We're getting a lot of interest on companies that want to be on. So I think we're going to have a packed. I'm looking at, instead of doing 2 days a week, maybe doing 3 days a week. So we're getting here. Ryan Shadle says he's taking notes. What about chicken nuggets? Yeah, no, he'll do it. He's that guy.
Egg rolls, sir. Know your audience.
Oh yeah. Look, I mean, you can go to a t-shirt manufacturer or something and have like just the logo printed on the front and give everybody a t-shirt and that stage it well.
Yeah. Come on, man.
What about chicken nuggets? Nah.
Banquet.
Hey, Josh, how about bringing back that GMGI guy to his Spaces?
Yes, I'm going to have the
some questions.
GMGI come back and have Zoran, the CEO of Meridian Bet, come on. I think it'd be a really great space.
Yeah, that would be good. Because damn, this one like oh,
Pull up the chart on that one, if you would, Kiko.
Oh, I took my screen down.
I
I
know.
thought you were rapping.
It went from 630 to now almost 260. Wow, that hurts.
Yeah, I was crying.
Yeah, I can imagine because you have a good size. I don't have that size, but it must be tough, yeah.
No, the hardest part is when you do corporate communications for a company, handling the investors that have over 1 million shares. When they call you and they're like, yeah, I lost 7 million today.
Yeah.
What do you say to that? It's like, you haven't lost anything until you sold. I mean, standard reply.
I didn't press the buy button.
I was like, but the value in your account went lower today. Yeah, I understand. But you don't give responses like that because, man, I don't have that much skin in the game.
No.
And I talked to an individual that he has that much skin in the game. So when he calls me and he's frustrated, man, that's a heavy moment.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part, I would say, of doing corporate communications. Because, ultimately the market does go up and down. He knows enough to buy more at the bottom. So when it goes down, he buys more stock. But he's already got over 1 million shares and the float's tight.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I thought it's going back to 4.5 because it has good support on at 4.5 and it has a huge run, so some consolidation is normal, I guess. But then it just like ripped through that 4.5 and now it's at 2.5. It's ugly.
And looking at it was smaller transactions. They weren't massive block transactions either. But, on the plus side, the volume and liquidity of the stock has greatly increased over the course of the last few months. Did you pull up a chart on that, Kiko?
No.
Pull up GMGI for a second.
Okay.
Oh, Sour S.
I took my screen down.
Let me check. I can share it as well, right?
Yeah,
You
doesn't
can
matter.
share.
Any reason why he never openly mentioned the NFG lawsuit win? Well, he kind of did mention it. He said it's going to increase the you're going to see it in the financials, but you won. How much do you talk? I mean, they won a lawsuit. One, it's a real big headache going through a lawsuit. It costs a lot of money. Yes, did they win a lot? Way more than they invested in. I get it, but he didn't have much to say about it because it's back to business, See, look at this run. The volume increased. Everybody was excited.
Yeah.
And most of the candles were red. I mean, were green. And then it turned to red with very few green days. I wonder what the RSI chart looks like on that.
I don't have it on the RSI. Well, let me put it on. There you go. RSI is
zoom in and look at that.
Yeah, this was barely above 70 at the top, so it never was really overbought like big time or anything.
But it's definitely been oversold.
Now it's back down to 30, which is really low, yeah.
Yep. So it's oversold, it's undervalued dramatically, and they just had a monstrous acquisition for a company of that size. profitable, accretive to the bottom line of the company's profitability and revenue. And
Yeah,
for
and
some
it
reason,
gets
there's a sellout.
added to the Russell now. Why aren't the Russell funds buying now? I don't get that. They should. I mean,
I was wondering if all the selling would maybe cause it to get kicked from Russell. Like, what was the reason it got taken off for Russell before? Because at one point it was on there.
yeah, at some point that might be a criteria again. But first, I think if they already announced that it's getting added, then I think it will get added, and then on the next compilation, it might get kicked again. But at some point, you would imagine you see some Russell funds buying, some passive funds that needs to hold the stock, but you haven't seen anything so far.
Well, I don't know. I heard it from a little birdie, and I only can say I expect that there will be other acquisitions that may or may not be already targeted that will also be accretive and expand their reach in the market. And I expect that he'll continue to lay down positive news. They just announced they got a license in South Africa. This is going to be hugely beneficial
I saw
in
that.
profit, and it's another additional market they weren't in prior to, and all that's part of what's coming into GMGI. So they're trying to spearhead being the only profitable company in the gambling market. Now, people could argue that a company like DraftKings, they're going to continue to pour marketing dollars, lose their face off as far as take losses every year, and then when they get to a certain place, a critical mass, they can just stop pouring money into marketing. They'll have enough name brand recognition. They won't have to spend anything on marketing, and they'll see the numbers flip to where they'll be massively profitable. But that's not the case right now in the market. There's not one huge profitable gambling company out there. So it makes me wonder if that'll ever come to fruition. But it's possible. I mean, GMGI is going in there swinging for the fences, increasing profitability and revenue on a quarterly basis, and making big acquisitions. A company 3 times their size, it's not too often. And the company they're acquiring put up their own money to get bought out, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
They help finance their own acquisition. It's not too often you see that in the market, but
yeah,
anyways.
it feels a little bit like the IDK situation. You feel you get a lot of value down here in GMGI. That's what I feel. I'm contemplating if to double my position now, because obviously I took some off on the way up, and I might get another chunk down here.
It's a fickle beast. I agree with it, though. I mean, I've banked on it. It doesn't take much to move it, honestly. If there's some steady buying, that it'll climb real quick.
Yeah, it's moving fast.
All right, guys. Well, I mean, we've covered quite a lot about market activity, many different stocks. I mean, from trip zero stocks to small cap NASDAQ stocks. We've talked about RSI. We've talked about indicators that might show you when a stock's going to turn around or hit a bottom and make some type of bounce. We've had a great interview with IDK or IDKFF in the States. And we look forward to coming back to you again here shortly. We'll either be back on Wednesday or Thursday of this week, and we've got a lot more coming your way. So stay tuned to JRC Stocks. Go and follow us on YouTube. Subscribe. Give us a like. Share the video with some other people. Let them know what we're trying to create here. We're here to build a community. So we feed off of the feedback we get from you guys, and we grow with you. So thank you so much for tuning in. Follow us on Twitter. Make sure you take time to DM us. I know Shido and Kiko and myself will be happy to respond and answer questions and be part of building this community. That's what we're here for. So until next time, guys, have a great day, and make sure you know what you own and do your freaking due diligence before you buy a stock. It'll save your butt 1,000,000 times over.
And Pat, you're gonna go for the Oilers today?
Well, it's funny because we've got the water issue here in Calgary that Sheldon was talking about, but it's not that bad. Like they told me not to use water, but it's my hearing. It's not working. I'm having some trouble in this one. But Oilers, yeah, I mean, I got to cheer for them, even though I'm from Calgary. I mean, it's the last time a Canadian team won was like 94.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, 94. So, I think you got to root for them. I mean, Edmontonians will be really rude if they win to us. Like, I mean, it's going to be like pretty, but you got to cheer for a Canadian team.
And Florida was up 3-0.
Yeah, and this is it now.
That's on top of it. Unbelievable.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
I know. All right,
Good.
guys.
Okay.
All right, guys, signing off. Have a great day, everyone.